Welcome back, guys, to Metaphor ReFantazio, our last episode. Continuing up through San Lumio Street and into the cathedral area, we completed our final sweep of Grand Trad by talking to everyone we could find, chatting with Juna and the cat she had found, Brigitta, Yufa, Bardon, Katharina, and Stroll, among others, as we now head into the Regalith Grand Cathedral to meet with Maria as our story concludes. So that should be everywhere been. Everywhere talked to. All the shops were closed with people standing outside them so you could talk to them. We've even been in the Gauntlet Runner and had one look around our old stomping ground. The only person we haven't spoke to, which seems that the game even says leave till last, is Maria.
So?
I think we've heard all we can from people. Should we head to where Maria is?
That reminds me.
Being here sure brings back memories. You remember how we came here looking for Maria before the tournament for the throne? She was crying back then, though. Yeah, she was.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember. This country's turned around since then, no doubt about it. I'm sure there will always be differences of opinion, but your ideals are really coming to fruition now. I can feel it. That reminds me, what's up with the book you're carrying around now? Is that the one you've been working on yourself? I'm excited to see what kind of fantasy you can conjure up. Maybe that's not even the word for it. After all, if you're the one putting in ink, that means you're going to make it a reality someday. Now then, Your Majesty, should we get going? He really repaired it.
Oh, hello there. Oh, right. I suppose now I should call you Your Majesty. You know, I was just telling Papa, even through all that mess, everyone's really been working hard.
Am I keeping my promise properly from back then?
Yes, you beat the villain, and now the city's full of smiles. And I'm sure Papa's smiling down on you too.
That's good. Hearing that from you really lifts my heart.
It's a joy to see kids like her smile. Future changes slowly, and the burden of its momentum will fall on their shoulders one day.
Don't worry. I'll try to do my part with what I've got. I want to help everyone understand that the world could be a better place if we can join hands with one another. Miss Fabian's fed so many hungry people since things changed. Some of those people even said they found their place there. I think I did too. If we can all change together for the better like that, we'll be closer to Your Majesty's and Papa's dream.
Place where I ought to be, a side of myself I ought to show. The path is never clear.
And I want to help with something too. I want everyone across the land to be able to smile.
You make a trusty advisor.
Yes. I expect great things, my trusty advisor.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Majesty. Oh, thank you, Your Majesty.
We should be the ones thanking her. Feels like I can see the entire country's future in her smile.
Everyone!
Long time no see. How have you been?
As we find ourselves afield, I thought I might visit Alsace myself.
Hold on a tick. Those people there. Surely not.
Naturally, we're drawing attention. We didn't all have to go at once.
Needn't fuss, old thing. It's been too long since we were all together again anyway.
Lady Tuna, did she really come all this way in a runner? Could have asked His Majesty to pop over and bring you back with a teleport or two.
The unmitigated nerve.
Oh, it's fine. I wanted to take in our country as it is. It's definitely a little rougher outside the capital's walls. There's still traces of melancholia around, and the odd human roaming about.
We're sending soldiers out for every incident we can. But it's not easy to hear the voice of the people from more distant regions.
I guess it's obvious. But just because you're king now doesn't make you suddenly all-seeing.
A lesson I learned last year. In the end, I was blind to a great deal of this world. Never would have learned if I hadn't pushed out the door and seen it with my own eyes.
He's right. capital can be a bit of a bubble. There will always be more to do and learn beyond its walls.
A year ago, I would have just said we could fly over ourselves. I mean, let's be real. The capital isn't going to fall apart if we just sneak over for a little tour, is it?
Of course not. We specifically put precautions in place to keep things running.
Yet it has only been 1 year. We cannot be too complacent too soon, lest the dissidents seize on the opportunity.
Oh, there he is! Over there! See? I told you, that's His Majesty, innit? Might have been a bit too obvious.
Oi there, Your Majesty!
You dare hoy the king? You swine!
Steady on, Hulkenberg, calm. You needn't draw steel on the poor fellow. We're the ones who indulged in this little day trip.
Your Majesty, thanks for all you do, really. Have to say, my life's a lot easier now.
There's more work to do every day, but we're in this together. We believe in you.
Everyone's so supportive. Kind of brings back memories from last year.
Rather. It's the sort of thing to get a chap all misty-eyed over the past. What a journey it was.
We really did just leg it up and down the country slaying dragons, eh? Can't believe we actually survived it.
They were dangerous times, but exciting ones too.
When we fought to appease the dragon god, I had no idea we would have to face another 4 dragons.
Nor I. Never thought the day would come when I'd be hailed as a dragon slayer. Life is full of surprises.
Right.
I resolved to believe in my ideals no matter what may become, even back then. Even if the world is slow to change, a king's beliefs can never waver.
It was a hard road, but we did have fun together, didn't we?
Looks like we're drawing a crowd. Time to get back to work.
Indeed. A veritable mountain of tasks awaits us, and I will see it crested.
And not long after, the new year dawned.
A journey? Are you really planning on leaving us?
There's more I have to see.
There's more I have to see. With my own eyes.
You want to know what's going on in the world, huh? Well, I guess you are the king.
Sounds like fun, but a daily jaunt down to the slums is one thing, and a proper journey is quite another. You're a king now, lad. You've got the people's expectations on your shoulders. It's all right to just sit on your throne and mind the home front, you know?
I don't care to be kingly. No, I actually kind of agree with Nurse right now that maybe leaving right now is not the best idea. You need destruction of all humans in the land would probably be like my first thing to do. There's only 7 individuals who really have the power to do such a thing. Maybe we should focus on that. You know, make sure everything's safe and then go. I've got years. I've got life. Maybe do some home front stuff first. Nurse is pretty much on the head. We can go figure out things later. Katharina's also we can send scouts like Katharina's all good.
I want to do what I can for the people. If that's not kingly, then the crown's just slowing me down.
Come on, this is no time for jokes.
Ever the fearless gadabout, eh? Well, I take your point, lad. Magla and the humans make a fine barometer for the anxiety still swirling in the country. So you go out and give it a proper survey, where it is and how much is there. If people can't face their anxieties, they can't keep their eyes forward. And if they can't do that, we'll have a bally hard time moving forward as a nation or a people. So you want to get a better grasp of it all. That's your most important duty as a ruler. That's what you're thinking, eh?
Right.
Even the most faraway future begins with a belief that it can be realized, so I'll press onward. That's the best I can do.
If that was your plan, you could have just said so.
Sounds like a fine idea to me. A proper spot of fun, besides. Wouldn't expect any less from our king and captain. Well, since I'm the ballet court engineer, I've no choice but to come along. I'm the only driver fit to maneuver the Royal Skyrunner after all. And why, you're the Dragon Slayer King, bane of monsters all across the country. When I imagine what sort of wondrous encounters you've got next, well, I'm all agog. Yes, here begins our quest anew. Let us sally forth upon our... hello? Are you not listening to me?
Sire, you've really got to stop chasing these ideas all on your own. You'll be the death of us.
Once again, sire, I've asked you countless times to give word if you're to leave the castle. Such caprice.
Nurse, don't tell me you called for them beforehand.
Saved us a bit of time, eh? Though, hello, what's this? I count only 2 of the 6 partisans. Short a few spears.
For my part, I believe 'tis unrealistic for all of us to depart the capital together.
Oh, so you have no plans to stop our little adventure, eh?
Hulkenberg and I talked it over. We decided that if you insist on going, we'd rather go with you than stop you.
Are you sure about this?
I was thinking back to our last fight with Luis. So many people supported us, but not for any high-minded ideals or arguments.
They were supporting us because we were actively fighting a monster on their behalf. In the end, people make choices based on their personal experience and emotion. Even if decided justly and supported by prosperity, people may struggle to trust a king whose face they do not know. An invisible ruler is no cure for their fears.
Right. I'm not opposed to the idea of getting out into the world again. Really, it might be the wisest move to make sure you're a king everyone knows.
My friends and allies believe as I do. Their support is the greatest treasure I could have.
Still, this early into the new year? 'Tis never a dull moment in your Majesty's employ.
Bit of a smaller party than we last set out with, huh? But it's a pleasure to be on the road again with you.
Okay, but can we really afford to have both our general and the Royal Guard's captain coming along for this?
'Tis natural course for the Royal Guard to accompany the king. And I trust my corps is not so feeble that it will fall apart in my absence.
We'll make it work. Got to learn to trust others and delegate, right? We'll just have to lead by example.
Yes, I mean, Hulkenberg being here makes complete and utter sense. I guess the general's the least next thing, but I thought you'd be on human extermination duties, but to be honest, I think Icemane can maybe handle that as well. Not that they can hit him, right?
Thank you. All of you. Let's be off.
You once heard my voice and answered a query in kind. Is fantasy a powerless creation? That timeless question. So long as life remains in the world, we seekers all shall search for our answer. But he will find his. Of that I am certain. And it is thanks to you for believing in and guiding him. That was the true purpose of my royal magic, you know. To seek and obtain guidance from denizens of a land beyond ours. A land that has not yet lost hope. And it was you who answered the call. Armed with your hope, armed with the power of fantasy, you rose in glory. Such courage, such whimsy, and yes, what thrills. You have my sincerest thanks.
feels familiar. It's been far too long.
Aye, the wind feels an echo of days past.
Unusually poetic for you.
They're awful, aren't they? They would have left us behind. Oh.
Well, I'm not certain we're in a position to talk, having followed straight after, saying we could just teleport back.
Well, hey, we figured the kids might want to change your scenery, like.
Wow! Amazing!
Poetic indeed. That the scepter's absence restored order to Magla, and even greenery to the sands.
I'll say, I definitely like this view better.
Let's go.
We keep our promises. Hey! 15 sessions! Nearly 4 months. We have cleared another Atlas game in the form of Metaphor. ReFantazio. A frontrunner for Game of the Year that didn't claim it. But yet another amazing RPG to have played. And what I'd consider, and I'm sure most people probably would, the perfect blending of what we would consider Persona and SMT to be. Especially after having played SMT 5 and it being, you know, very light on gameplay. Or, you know, very light on story. Having the game, well, Vengeance. Having more story elements with that SMT kind of combat versus Persona combat is definitely, yeah. Having it in the old fantasy setting versus like modern stuff is refreshing for nowadays, I feel. And it was very, very fun. The pacing of it was very interesting. There was a lot to think about. It definitely changed up and messed with their formulas here, there, and everywhere. And, most importantly to me, gave you a lot of leeway. Gave you a lot of leeway to get things done. But maybe not absolutely everything. Depends, I guess, if there is possibility to get every single trophy in the game, every single achievement in one go. But we're not looking at a guide for that. We're doing everything that we can do in the logical order that's presented to us at the time. And it all just flows very nicely. I wish it didn't go like, this is the final battle at certain points of the game. And it's like, no, it's not. Come on, game. We know it's not. You've set a deadline date in the first place. Nothing can really happen before then. With a female family there also there, because of course a dad and a mother were looking after their son, or looking over their son, from beyond the grave, trying to do what's best for things. So even the king that lost his hope entirely and acted the way he did and let all these things happen, that took the country down, like the United Kingdom down a really bad road, still with his final gamble showed that even with someone in full despair like that, there's enough hope to roll the dice, right? There was enough hope to let it go, and he just kind of ended up a little bit fortunate in the end, didn't he? His son wasn't actually dead. Some special magic that splits up people happened to both him and his son. Life is good. The whole family managed to live after dying, yeah. It's just what we do. It's just what the royal family does, I'll have you know. Congrats on the completion, thank you very much. But yes, a blending of systems, I think, makes a game that did have, obviously, more instant, mainstream, wide appeal. And now you wonder what they're going to do with, well, their mainline franchises, if you consider it, like SMT and Persona, because if they're taking the lessons from Persona and SMT to make this game, and taking the systems, how does this game end up modifying, changing Persona 6 or SMT 6 or whatever's next for those two franchises? You know what I mean? How will that modify things? And then what is there to come? But this, because it's a standalone game for all we know of in their ideas and their ideals and their plans. But then it took off then it got global applause, recognition. And when that kind of thing happens, that's when things come from like a standalone, well, we're making a different game for once, to here we go, a franchise again. That does make you wonder exactly how that's going to pan out. Will we see more metaphor? Because I see room, of course, there's more stories within that world. Though, of course, with the archetypes and all that, with these characters, I guess it would be a bit harder to do, considering they've come into their power, haven't they? On the other side of things, I see a story happening in the past of what happened before. The raising of the archetypes could be an interesting thing. And then if you want to go there, even further back in the past. So there's like games like this could be like the future of, and you could make sequel games going further and further into the past at this point in time. To the actual fall of humanity and stuff like that. That could be cool too. And then always the question with an Atlus game. Will there be a changed version with changed story throughout? Or will they learn from the past and learn like many other companies are now doing and switch it over to full DLC? I think I've seen stuff that says they're doing DLC from now on for that kind of thing. But I would like there not to be an enhanced version of this. I think stories have to be made in their complete form. Not suddenly made complete, SMT Vengeance. A couple of years later or so. I'm pretty pleased. But I see more interest in what is the past than necessarily the present. You could say a DLC for examining some more stuff, like the ruins under the Mage Academy or another continent or so. There's more stuff out there after all. There's dragons of the continent were said to be slayed, but there's dragons elsewhere as I understand it. They're by that sentence. But I think the past and how this world came about is a very interesting point. A very, very interesting point indeed. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. Yeah. Premiere. It's just Premiere's goodness. That's the thing. The SMT combat system has legs. It always has legs. It's just Persona overshot, like, it does just shine over it. It just completely makes it obsolescent in a lot of people's minds. Whereas the SMT combat is more, it's just better. Now, not to say that like the combat in this was necessarily quite hard, but the weakness is there, the strengths, just the press turn system is really fun to play for turn-based. And then, of course, they could evolve the on-the-field gameplay more as well. But a game with story, I feel, always has to be kind of backed up by a fair amount of battle as well. You actually have to be able to play it. It has to be not just an audiovisual novel. Now, I play games that are way more on the wordy side than this game, for example. But I did very much actually like, even though in the end, a lot of the dungeons were actually just retreads of each other. The same cave system, the same this, the same forest, the same that. If they could, like, even now, I really like the dungeon system. I really like the traveling. Like, not just going into one place like Mementos with a little bit of a different background on the floor. You get me? That kind of thing. I really did like going to different areas as if it were a journey. So if they could make sure they differentiate the dungeons a bit more to therefore have like each one is a new experience versus like in the start of the game you're getting the new little experiences to add combat in. Those kind of decisions to go do the things I liked. And again, everything felt incredibly compact in the way that you could get things done, and I didn't feel necessarily rushed, is how I put it. As long as I focused on my bonds, everything was going to be good. And that's kind of just the way it is for Atlus games in general, isn't it? You might miss a couple of things here and there. Like we missed Opera House stuff, I guess. But I got the major bits of it. I want it done. Press turn system is really feast or famine. It's all fun until the enemies are beating you. Yeah, but it's It's nice to know that if you randomly don't play properly, or you randomly do something wrong, which you might even not necessarily know you're doing wrong, like, oh, I've hit the light reflect, now I'm absolutely doomed. It's nice to know that things can go wrong, even when you're like, equally things can go incredibly right for you most of the time if you're just observant and just patient, maybe even defensive. You can definitely conquer the system pretty simply. He says playing normal, of course. But yeah, they could do more on the field gameplay. It's just a case of, as we've seen via Trails Through Daybreak 1 and Trails Through Daybreak 2, how do you evolve that kind of system meaningfully without removing more that happens from the command-based battles? Just hitting stuns is where you want to be in essentially both games, unless you're like killing low-level enemies. Though I gotta say, in some regards, I definitely like... It feels a bit better being able to bop the enemies on the field when you're several levels higher, like 3, 4, 5 levels higher, and just knock them out, even if they're big foes. That feels pretty good too. Now, is there anything else afterwards? Now that we've got through the credits. Oh, it's me!
Dear guest, from a world I shall never know.
Why, thank you. I don't have that much hair.
In your eyes, I know our journey was ultimately a fiction. However, I hope your memories of this fantastical adventure burn as bright in your reality. I hope the promise of our world echoes in you. With all my heart, I hope that fantasy gives you strength.
Promise the world does echo. I was speaking of the future after all. Oh.
Look at that. The rubble's just bait for tourists now.
I never expected a view like this.
Let's see it all. Let's see the world.
Yeah.
A new journey now beckons. In days of eld, the people prospered and perished in turn. Struck by their ways, I wrote a book of my dearest ideas. A tale of fantasy. In my vision, they placed their trust, and so the kingdom breathed new life.
The strength to believe in the unknown, that can change everything. Without a doubt, you will face all sorts of trials ahead. But carry onward with all your heart. Onward, fearless, into a world unknown.
Hey, fantasy lives on. Maybe it will do in the future. Will we see more from these characters? I don't know. Will we see more within the property? I hope so. But there we go. That is another game complete. A fantasy that we very enjoyed. And fantasies, of course, RPGs. From a certain land that I love to imbibe. Journeys I travel with you guys are always enjoyable. By saving your clear data, certain things could transfer over as is to a new game. You can transfer currently owned items with some exceptions, money mag, royal virtues, scanned enemies, memorandum, archetype statuses, and total playtime. Save clear data, sure. From what I've heard, most people I know of that have played the game in the chat have well done their second playthroughs at this point in time. It seems to be the kind of game that requires a second playthrough, as Atlus is want to do as well, to unlock things by the sound of things. And I will indeed save that. And see it clear. 115 hours well spent. And no change to the title screen by the look of things. So, there we go. And there we have it. There he is, Metaphor ReFantazio. Another story enjoyed, another story seen, and another story that we hope that there'll be more chapters to, more installments in the distant future. Who knows? But I guess next for them will be Persona 6 and maybe an SMT 6. You just don't know with their release schedule. What will Atlus be up to next? But our third, fourth, fifth Atlus game is now complete. 3 SMTs, 1 Persona, and Metaphor down. Who knows what will be next? Who knows when will be next? I hope you guys have enjoyed this Let's Play. I did, very muchly. I hope I see you around in the future for more, as the years keep ticking along. And of course it tries to take us back to scenes by the look of things. No, it just repeats, right? Yeah, it does. But I hope I see you in the future for more. Until next time, until our next Let's Play, I say bye-bye. Thank you guys for watching.